Well, if you haven't already guessed what I'm going to be doing today from the thumbnail, I'll give you 3 guesses. What I'm going to turn to alcohol next. Hi and welcome to another video. It's an interesting challenge I have today. As you can see, I've got a lot of watermelons in front of me. What I'm going to attempt to do is make some watermelon brandy using the water only that is supplied from the watermelons. That's why I've got so many. Plus also I want to try and make up 25-30 litres of it. So thus we need to have a few watermelons. Now the things I'm going to be using today, as you can see here, I've got a 30 litre storage barrel, but I'm probably going to be getting 25 to 30 litres, somewhere around there, end product. I've got some Dextrose I'm going to be using to bump up the sugar or the alcohol content at the end. And I have this here, which is just a rosin bag or a cloth bag. I'm going to be actually putting the pulp in here, squeezing the pulp out into here and putting it into this barrel. And I've got another barrel I'm going to be using just for the scraps. Now, as you can see from all of this, I've got a lot of extra bits and pieces here. I'm going to be using raisins for the yeast nutrient. I'm going to be cutting them up first, just roughly dicing them. And I have Campden tablets to stop the natural yeast from working before I actually put the good yeast in. Over here, obviously, I've got 2 containers for the cubed watermelons that I put in there and cutting implements. Now, it's going to take a long time to do all this, so I'm not going to bore you with just making sure you watch me do all this. But I'll tell you what I will do. I'll cut back from time to time and I'll give you progress reports. Well, change of plans. I was going to originally put the watermelon into here, mash it up, and then pour it into this bucket here to filter it. But I think it's going to be rather too messy to do it that way. So I've got another sterilised or sanitised bucket here. I'm going to pour all of this into my sanitised bucket as I do it. Then mash it into a pulp and then put it into this bag here to strain it out. So that's going to be a much more productive and safer way of doing it. It's got a lot less messy. So I'll give you a progress report a bit later. Well, it's now 4.5 hours later. I've finished the mammoth marathon of mashing all of those watermelons up. And this is the remaining pulp that I've got. These 2 bowls and that bit there. And I'm going to actually put that into another container and just let it drain overnight to see if I can get any more moisture out of it. But at the end of the day, if you have a look here, that line represents 25 litres. So it's about 23 litres of pure watermelon juice I got out of there with no pulp whatsoever. Now I did actually experiment with a juice extractor. I thought, well, that's fantastic. That juices apples and carrots and stuff like that. So what about juicing some watermelon? Put the watermelon through it. No pulp was remained. It actually pulverized the pulp into the liquid. So I didn't want that. So anyway, 23, 24 litres, that's all right. I don't mind that. Because by the time I actually add the Dextrose in there, it's going to bring it up to about 25, 26 litres. So that's good. So yes, as I said, I'm going to put this pulp into another container to drain overnight to see how it goes. And yeah, we'll go from there. Now I did a specific gravity on it. I was expecting around about 5 or 6%. And that's exactly what I got. I got 5%. Specific gravity of 1038. And that's all right, that's good. The main reason I did this is for the flavour. Because that flavour is going to be paramount in making this watermelon brandy that I want to make. So when I add the Dextrose to it later, it's going to bring it up to par. I have to start speeding it up. It's getting late and I have to start doing a few chores around the house. It's been dark for a couple of hours. But next on the agenda, I have roughly a kilo of raisins, roughly chopped. I'm going to be adding that into, I'm not going to be pouring it in because it's a little bit too solid. I'm going to be adding the raisins into my container here because I want to basically now kill off any wild yeast that there is inside. And I'm getting splashed by my watermelon juice. I want to kill off any wild yeast. But just while I'm talking about getting splashed, this is a very messy episode. You did not see what happened behind the scenes, and it was very messy. So next time, if you're going to do this, do it outside. Don't do it in your kitchen. So anyway, the raisins are basically a 4 yeast nutrient. Now, I'm adding them now because I want to actually put the Campden tablets through to kill off any wild yeast which is inside the raisins, as well as the wild yeast which is inside the watermelon juice. So now I'm going to be adding, I've crushed up 1 Campden tablet. This is basically a sanitizer. Crushed up 1 Campden tablet, put that in. That's good. 4 hours, over 4.5 hours. And I did this after I came home from work. I'm getting pretty tired. I'm looking forward to having a relaxing drink or two. But anyway, footnote, when making or mashing the pulp up for the watermelons, yes, the potato mashers works fine initially, but what I ended up doing is I actually put about that much in the bottom of a barrel, mashed it, then used this, as you can see it's very grubby, use this to actually pulverize it, and then after I finished pulverizing it, I then mashed it some more until I was sure it was pretty liquid. So all in all, that was actually a very good solution. So if you cast your mind back to when I first started, I was originally going to start it by pulverizing this inside these stainless steel bowls. Well, anyway, we worked it out anyway. I want to give this a real good stir now and put it to bed. I'm going to give it at least 24 hours. So I'm going to, in about 24 hours time, I'll then get into pitching the yeast and bring it up to temperature first and pitching the yeast and getting it ready. It's been a very exciting, interesting path. Very messy. I was weighing up whether or not to actually just pulverize this into a mush and then put that in. I thought, no. Better off with a pure liquid. So all of those watermelons from here to there is reduced to that in straightforward liquid. And I think that's going to be the benefit for our watermelon brandy. So I'm going to put it to bed for today and get into a few chores because my wife is coming home from work soon, and she will hit the roof if she sees all this happening in the kitchen. So I'll come back when I'm ready to actually pitch the yeast after at least 24 hours of this just being sterilised by the Campden tablet. Well, my watermelon brandy is getting closer and closer and closer. Okay, now I've had it for 24 hours since I put the Campden tablet in, so with all good intents and purposes, that Campden tablet, the sanitising solution is actually nullified itself. That's what the internet says, that must be true. So I've been bringing it up to temperature, up to 28 degrees Celsius, and that's good pitching temperature. I prefer 30, but I'll bring it up to, I can do it at 28 because I'm running out of daylight again. So as we know, I have a 5% potential ABV in here with a specific gravity of 1038. Now I want to try and make that 15%. Now I went on to the website here, and I was having a look at Chase the Craft. They have some incredible little online calculators to do all that sort of stuff. But they didn't indicate where I start off at 5% and want to bump it up to 15%. But what they did do is they gave me a calculator which basically says, okay, I want to put in about 6 kilos of dextrose or sugar, for this amount of water to bring it up to 15%. So it's already at 5%. So theoretically, it should be around about 4 kilos to do the same job. Now, I don't know yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 4 kilos of dextrose in there, give it a good stir, and take a specific gravity, and I'll come back to you and tell you the results. Well, it's time to put this to bed. I ended up putting in 4.5 kilos, and that brought it up, after stirring it up for quite a while, brought it up to a specific gravity of 1102, which is roughly around about 15% potential alcohol by volume. Now, I'm using EC1118 Lalvin yeast, which gives me a 16-17% possibility, maybe even higher, I don't know. But because I actually put the raisins in there, a kilo of raisins, there was a sugar inside that raisins is probably going to compensate for it, maybe bump it up to about 16%, maybe a little bit more. Don't know what's going to happen yet. We're going to have to see what happens when the whole thing finishes. The pitching temperature has dropped. When I actually started putting all this together, it was 26 degrees. Now, since I've put all of the dextrose in there, it's dropped down to 22 degrees. So it's probably going to take a while to start, but I'll put it to bed tonight. I'll leave one of these heater strips on, and because it's starting to get a little bit cooler here where we are, and one of these heater strips on, I'll just check it early in the morning. But the yeast that I'm using is Lalvin EC1118. Now, you buy them in little 5-gram packets, about $5 or $6 each. I think this cost me around about $15 for 125 grams, so it's quite good value. So I buy it in bulk. I'm going to put 10 grams of yeast in there. I'm going to simply just, actually what I'll do, I'll cut right now and I'll come back when I've actually activated the yeast. That's probably a very wise thing to do. Well, time to put this all to bed. I put 10 grams of Lalvin EC1118 yeast into a little bit of this. I warmed it up to around about 38 degrees. You can see it's very happy, very healthy. I'm going to actually pitch the yeast now. Even though the temperature is around about 24 degrees, I'll pitch it now because it'll probably start going and it'll be generating a little bit of its own heat as it goes along. I've got 25, 24, 23 litres of mixture here. So hopefully I should have a vigorous production. But Lalvin EC1118 yeast tends to be a slow-acting yeast, but it is extremely good. So I'll pitch this now. Going in. Too late to say no. But all right, it's in now. The next step is obviously going to be put the lid on, wait for it to do its thing, and take as long as it's necessary. Now, I was just having a look at eBay. This particular packet here of Lalvin EC1118 cost $32.99 Australian. The little 5-gram satchels are about $3.40 per 5 grams. So this is roughly half the price of normal 5-gram satchels, well, when you actually work it out. So it's better value. If you're going to use a lot of Lalvin EC1118, buy it in this size. Much more beneficial for you. It looks like it's mixed. I'm going to put that over here. Give it a stir down the bottom. I've stirred up the top, now I'll stir down the bottom. Good. All the raisins are starting to float. It's okay, they're full of sugar. They're going to be giving more juice and more potency to what I'm doing here. So I'm looking forward to the end product here. Keep in mind, I've got my new pot still attachment for my reflux still. I'm going to be looking forward to actually making this happen with a lot of flavour. So, yeah. Now, the hard part comes. That's waiting. I hope you've enjoyed what I've done here. I enjoyed doing it for you. So if you have enjoyed it, please like, subscribe and share. This is a labour of love for me. It's now 7:05 the following day to when I first finished this, so it's a whole 24 hours later. So it's been a long process actually getting this fella here up in front of you. So hopefully it's of benefit to you. Please feel free to comment if you have any suggestions of what to add or what to do or how to change it, or even what videos you would like to see. Please feel free to make a comment about that. So for now, I'm going to put this to bed. I'll start cleaning up this mess before my wife gets home, because she works as a nurse and she comes home around about 8 o'clock. It's now 7. So I haven't got much time to finish it all off. But apart from all that, great news. Another video for you. I hope you enjoy it.